I am Professor Durga Madhava Kara from Shiksha Anusandhan, deemed to be university. Here I would like to discuss on a very important topic, that is Schedule Y and its amendment. And this is a very important topic for the pharmacy students particularly. So, before going to start about the Schedule Y, let we to understand what is Schedule Y as per Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So, it refers to requirements and guidelines to be followed in order to get permission for importing and or manufacturing of new drugs to the market or to undertake clinical trials in India. Then we will be moving forward to the application for permission. So, for the application of the permission, import or manufacture of new drugs for sale or to undertake clinical trial shall be made in form number 44, accompanied with following data in accordance with the appendices, namely chemicals and pharmaceutical informations, which is available in appendix 1, then animal pharmacology data available in appendix 4, then is your animal toxicology data, which is available in appendix 1 and appendix 3, human clinical pharmacology data, which is also available in appendix 1, regulatory status in other countries, and also samples and testing protocols. Chemicals and pharmaceutical informations. Information on active ingredients is necessary. Then is your drug information. Drug informations include generic name, chemical names, physicochemical data, then is your analytical data, then is your complete monograph, then stability studies, then date of formulation, then is your animal pharmacology data. Relating to the animal pharmacology data, it is required to summary on pharmacology of the product, specific pharmacological action, then general pharmacological action, follow up and supplemental safety pharmacological studies, then is your pharmacokinetics. So, in this pharmacokinetics, it is required to know the absorption profile, distribution profile, metabolism profile and excretion profile of a drug. Then relating to the animal toxicology data, these are the following data required for the study. This includes general aspects of toxicology, then is your systemic toxicity studies, then male fertility studies, then female reproduction and developmental toxicity studies, then local toxicity, then allergy or hypersensitivity study, then genotoxicity, then is your carcinogenicity. Then coming to the human clinical pharmacology data, it includes human clinical pharmacology data, that is in phase 1, it includes specific pharmacological effect, general pharmacological effects, then is your pharmacokinetics, absorption, distribution, metabolism, then is your excretion. Then after that, it is also necessary to know the pharmacodynamics or early measurement of drug activity. Then under therapeutic exploratory trials, that is called as your phase 2, it includes summary, then study report. Then after this is therapeutic confirmatory trials, this is coming under phase 3, it includes summary, then individual study reports with a listening of sites and investigators, regulatory status in other countries, that includes restrictions on use, if any, in countries where marketed or approved. Then is your free cell certificate or certificate of analysis as appropriate. Samples and testing protocols. So, in samples of pure drug substance and finished product, an equivalent of 50 clinical doses or more number of clinical doses if prescribed by the licensing authority, with testing protocols, full impurity profile and release specification. Then moving forward, after that then we are moving forward for the clinical trial. So, clinical trial is being performed or conducted in 4 phases, that is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. So, most likely in clinical trial, safety and efficacy of a Schedule Y drug is being evaluated in human trial. So, that in phase 1 it comprises of small number of people, then medium number of people for phase 2, then in phase 3 large number of human beings are being taken as the volunteers, then phase 4 is the post marketing surveillance studies. Then approval for clinical trial. So, in this approval of clinical trial or on a new drug shall be initiated only after the permission has been granted by the licensing authority under Rule 21B, and the approval obtained from the respective ethics committee. All trial investigators should possess appropriate qualifications, training and experience, and should have access to such investigational and treatment facilities as are relevant to the proposed trial protocols. Then is a qualified physician or dentist when appropriate, who is an investigator or a sub-investigator for the trial, should be responsible for all trial related medical or dental decisions. Then is your laboratories used for generating data for clinical trial should be compliant with GLP. Then is your protocol amendment if become necessary before initiation or during the course of a clinical trial. All such amendments should be notified to the licensing authority in writing along with the approval by the ethics committee, which has granted the approval for the study. Then is your administrative and or logistic changes in the protocol should be notified to the licensing authority within 30 days. Then responsibilities of the sponsorer. The clinical trial sponsor is responsible for implementing and maintaining quality assurance system to ensure that the clinical trial is conducted and data generated, documented and reported in a compliance with the protocol and good clinical practice guidelines issued by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, Director General of Health Services, Government of India, as well as with all applicable statutory provisions. Then sponsors are required to submit a status report on the clinical trial to the licensing authority at the prescribed periodicity. In case of study prematurely discontinued for any reason, including lack of commercial interest in pursuing the new drug application, a summary report should be submitted within 3 months. Any unexpected serious adverse event as defined in GCP guidelines occurring during a clinical trial should be communicated promptly by the sponsor to the licensing authority and to other investigators participating in the study. So, responsibility of the investigator. So, under this responsibility of the investigator shall be responsible for the conduct of trial according to the protocol and GCP guidelines and also for compliance. Standard operating procedure are required to be documented by the investigators for the tasks performed by them. Investigators shall report all serious and unexpected adverse events to the sponsor within 24 hours and to the ethics committee that accorded approval to the study protocol within 7 working days of their occurrence. Then is your responsibility of the ethics committee. It is the responsibility of the ethics committee that reviews and accords its approval to a trial protocol to safeguard the rights, safety as well as being of all trial subjects. The ethics committee should exercise particular care to protect the rights, safety and well-being of all vulnerable subjects participating in the study. Ethics committee should make at appropriate intervals an ongoing review of the trial for which they review the protocols. In case an ethics committee evoked its approval accorded to a trial protocol, it must record the response for doing so and at once communicate such a decision to the investigator as well as to the licensing authority. Then human pharmacology, that is phase 1. So, objective is to estimation of safety and tolerability with the initial administration of an investigational new drug into humans. So, phase 1 study should preferably be carried out by investigator trained in clinical pharmacology with access to the necessary facilities to closely observe and monitor the subjects. Then these are the appendixes are there. Then data to be submitted along with application to conduct clinical trial, import, manufacture of new drugs for marketing in the country that include even following are the criteria required to be submitted. Then first one is your introduction, then chemical and pharmaceutical information, then animal pharmacology, animal toxicology, human or clinical pharmacology, therapeutic exploratory trial, therapeutic confirmatory trial, then special studies, regulatory studies in other countries, then prescribing information, sample and testing protocols. Appendix IA. So, data required to be submitted by an applicant for grant of permission to import and or manufacture of new drug already approved in the country, that also includes all these parameters. Then appendix 2, structure, content and formats for clinical study reports, title page, then study synopsis. So, all are these criteria to be fulfilled. Then list of appendices to the clinical trial report, then protocol and amendment, then specimen of case record form, investigator's name, then CRF of case involving death and life threatening adverse event cases, then publication from the trial, then important publications referenced in the study, then audit certificate if available, investigator certificate that he or she has read the report and that the report accurately describes the conduct and the results of the study. Then appendix 3, it includes general principles under this systemic toxicity study, male fertility study, female reproduction and developmental toxicity study are included. Then is a local toxicity study is also included. Then allergenicity, hypersensitivity study is also included. Then genotoxicity study report data is also included. Then carcinogenicity. Then under appendix 4, animal pharmacology, and there are general principles. Then specific pharmacological action, general pharmacological action. Then essential safety pharmacology report is also essential. Then follow-up and supplemental safety pharmacology study. It includes follow-up studies for essential safety pharmacology, CNS, CVS and respiratory systems. Then supplemental safety pharmacology studies. Then is your condition under which safety pharmacology studies are not necessary. So, these are the conditions. So, safety pharmacology studies are usually not required for locally applied agents, example is a dermal or ocular preparations. Then application of good laboratory practice is to be followed. Then amendments includes, what are these amendments? So Schedule Y incorporates definition for phase 1 to 4, provided the phase lag requirements have given way to acceptance of concurrent phase 2 to 3 as a part of global clinical trial. Further, a new classification of fixed dose combination for new clinical trial is included, and appendices specifying a checklist for informed consent documents and the format for informed consent form are some of the silent features of the amendment of Schedule Y. So, to comply with the regulations of International Conference on Harmonization, the Schedule Y of Drug and Cosmetic Act was amended on 20th January 2005. So, under this these are the revised one and these are the old one. So, application for permission is the revised one, then clinical trial, suppose it has written in old clinical trials, but in revised one it is clinical trial only. So, the following are the tables of content. So, I have completed the topic. So, thank you to one and all.